Hey y'all, today we're taking a little bit of a break from our regularly scheduled programming because it is the Life with Lori channel's first birthday. And for this birthday celebration video, I am going to be answering all your questions about me. The single most common question that was asked was about my appearance on camera. And a lot of you are very kind to think I look younger than I actually am. But I want to let you all know that I don't look any younger than probably just about anybody else my age. What I have is great lighting and a lot of makeup on. So as I'm answering your questions today, I'm going to be going through my full filming makeup routine so you can actually see how much stuff I have piled on my face. If that sounds interesting to you, then please do hang out because I will be completely barefaced and vulnerable on YouTube, on the internet in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so here it is, my makeup-free face. Like, I have my skincare on and my sunscreen, and that's it. So, talk about feeling vulnerable to start a video, answering questions, all about me. Here we go. The most common questions I had, especially in my DMs, were all about how I maintain my skin and how I do my makeup for my YouTube videos. I've already finished with my skincare, and the last step of my skincare every single day is my sunscreen, and really more than anything else, putting sunscreen on my face every day for the last 35 years has probably made the biggest difference in my skin. But here, let me show you. Like, I'm not in front of professional lighting today, and obviously I haven't done my makeup, so you can see that I have all the same things on my face as everybody else. Like, I've got fine lines all across my forehead, up under my eyes, I've got large pores, I'm getting marionette lines, getting some sagging in my jowls. So I'm starting my makeup with this Tatcha Velvety Protective Primer. And what I love about this is that it helps to fill pores and minimize those fine lines. So on every filming day, I start with this primer. I start by concentrating it in the areas of my face where I have the largest pores, and then spread out from there. And that leads me to the second most question I was asked, and that question is, how old are you? I am 52. This is what a 52-year-old woman looks like who's been wearing sunscreen for 35 years. I don't know if that makes a difference or not, but in my mind, I kind of think it does. But this is what a 52-year-old woman looks like who has been wearing sunscreen on her face for 35 years and really maintaining a good skincare routine. By skincare routine, I don't mean anything super expensive or super complicated. My everyday routine is in the mornings, I cleanse my face. I use a glycolic acid cream only where my pores are larger because it's just too strong for the rest of my face. I have very sensitive rosacea skin. After that, I put on a lightweight moisturizer and then I use a sunscreen, and that's it for my morning. In the evenings, I use a makeup removing balm cleanser, and then I use a gentle foaming cleanser. That double cleanse ensures that I get all my makeup and sunscreen and stuff from the day off of my face. Then I use a tretinoin cream and an inexpensive but very occlusive moisturizer to lock that tretinoin in, so I go to bed looking like a glazed donut. My husband has managed to not have a problem with it all these years, and that's it for my skincare routine. So after I use my primer, I put a very light dusting of a translucent powder on my face. I've learned from watching Wayne Goss that if you do put a light layer of powder on your face before you put your foundation on, then it's much easier to minimize the look of all the normal texture that we have on our skin. Next, I go in with foundation. And for filming foundation, I use Dermablend Flawless Corrector Drops. This stuff is very liquidy and lightweight, but boy, it covers. Like, this is some high coverage stuff. I do not wear this when I am out and about for my regular day. But for filming, it covers fantastically. And so for filming, this is my favorite foundation. And this is the one you've seen me wearing in almost all of my videos. I don't usually travel with this foundation because it is quite heavy for day-to-day use. When I'm traveling, it's just with a tinted moisturizer. And in my everyday life, I just wear a tinted moisturizer, a little bit concealer, and I call it a day. But we're doing filming makeup today because that's how you always see me. My next step is concealer, and that leads me to the next question. The next question I got is about my family. If I have children, and yes, I do. I have 2 boys. They are grown, and the oldest is 31, and the youngest just turned 27 today. So happy birthday to my baby. It's his 27th birthday today. My oldest son is married to a beautiful Brazilian lady, and she's 29, and I consider her one of my kids as well because I just absolutely love her. Now, because I am getting these saggy gels just a little bit on each side, I always contour my jawline. That's something I do every day if I am wearing makeup. So if you see me out and about in the world, you will definitely see me with a contoured jawline. Hopefully it's not terribly noticeable, but just enough to try to reduce the look of those saggy gels. Now, I feel like I've got a really big forehead, so I also contour right at my hairline because I feel like my forehead is so big that bronzer alone doesn't reduce the look of my forehead to a point that I'm comfortable with. So I do contour up into my hairline and of course that jawline. Now, I don't always contour up under my cheekbones, but if we're gonna do it, let's do it, right? Another question that was asked many, many times was, what is my job outside of YouTube? And if I don't have a job outside of YouTube, what was my job before YouTube? So now we're going in with bronzer. I spent the most of my working years, which I do still work, but I'll get to that in a minute. But I spent most of my working years as an accountant. I worked in the automotive industry, and while I met so many people that I really, really will always just be so grateful that I got to know them, I hated my job as an accountant. I did, and it's just because I was a very young mom and I needed a 9-to-5 that would allow me to pay the bills I needed to pay to be able to help take care of my kids. So accounting was one of those things that for me that fit all those criteria. So I was an accountant. I was an accountant for more than 20 years. All those boring jokes you hear about being counter are absolutely true. It was the most boring job in the world for me, but I did love the people I worked with. Once my kids were grown though, I was out of accounting. Like, I did not want to do it anymore. That whole 9-to-5 thing, Monday through Friday, asking somebody else if you could take some time off to go on vacation was just not working for me anymore. So I left the accounting world behind and I started a home staging company. I had so much fun with the home staging company, but I sold that company when it was time for us to move out of state for my husband's job, because a home staging company in Texas was not something I could manage well from Missouri. But trust me, I tried. I tried really, really hard. It didn't work out. But after only a few years, we were fortunate enough to move back to Texas, and I decided I didn't really want to get back into home staging again, because I was at a stage in my life where, again, I was looking for a job because I do need to produce income, but I was looking for a way to produce income that allowed me to live on my own schedule, on my own time, because my husband and I had gotten to a point in our lives where we really wanted to travel more. His job affords him the flexibility to be able to do that fairly often, and I needed to have a job that wasn't going to lock me down into an office or make me beholden to somebody else's schedule. And so at that point, we sat down and thought, okay, what can we do to create this income? And decided that real estate investing was the way to go for us. And had I known how well that was going to work out, I would have started it years earlier. But I didn't know what I didn't know until I knew it. So my regular job now is that of a real estate investor. All right, so you can see even with this heavy layer of base makeup I have on, with the bronzer and the contour and the blush and the highlighter and of course all the foundation, you can still see a lot of large pores and fine lines here, not so fine lines. And really for me, what I have found the best way to hide that on camera is with a powder. If you, like me, watch any kind of beauty content on YouTube, especially for women of a certain age, they always tell us, do not use powder on your skin. And you know what? That doesn't apply to me. And it doesn't apply to you either. If you want to use powder, use powder. I have incredibly oily skin, and powder cuts down on the shine. And powder really changes how light reflects off your face. And by changing how this light reflects off your face, you're able to really disguise a lot of the texture on your skin that shows up as just a normal part of aging. So you're never going to see me on YouTube without a heavily powdered face. But I am going to add just a little more highlighter because it's left my face looking just more than just a little flat. I'm also feeling pretty pale, so I'm going to add just a little bit more bronzer too. I added the cream bronzer earlier, you saw that. Now I'm going to do some powdered bronzer. Because I've already powdered my face, I don't want to put more cream products on top of that. Another question that many of you asked was, what drew me to YouTube? Why did I start a YouTube channel? I have friends that have a YouTube channel, and their channel is so much fun. My friends are Chuck and Paige with No Time to Be Sad. And they started a YouTube channel. Actually, Chuck started the YouTube channel when he retired from his job. He worked for the same company that my husband worked for. In fact, he's the one that got my husband the job at the company he works with now. So when Chuck retired, they decided they were going to travel North America in a travel trailer and then move to Thailand. And that's exactly what they did. And they're just living their best life doing all those things. And I saw how much fun that he was having with YouTube and thought, I wonder if I could do that. Because it was a real stretch for me. I can't speak for all women, I can only speak for myself, but I will tell you, I was not the biggest fan of how I looked on camera, and certainly not the biggest fan of how I sound on camera. So I thought, okay, I need to challenge myself because there is nothing wrong with the way I look, this is what I look like, and there's nothing wrong with how I sound, this is what I sound like. And I thought, okay, he's having a great time with YouTube. I want to do that. I want to see if I can overcome my insecurities about my appearance and my voice and get on YouTube. And as it turns out, I can overcome those things because there's nothing wrong with me, just like there's nothing wrong with you, right? So, you know, here I am a year later on my YouTube channel answering questions about myself on YouTube while I do my makeup. If you like, I never would have thought this would happen. Now my eyeshadow look is almost always the same thing. I have hooded eyes, so I always start by defining the crease to make my eyes look a little less hooded. I always use the same matte shadow palette. To do this part, it's this Milani Most Wanted Mattes. It's more cool tone, chocolatey browns. And because my skin is so naturally pink, I'm very cool toned, that is a great match for me. Now if it was just a regular day with tinted moisturizer, I'd be leaving the eye look at this, but this is a YouTube day, so I am going to start darkening that outer V. Now I'm just taking a clean brush. I'm going to blend out the edges of my eye look just a little bit more because they're looking kind of rough. So someone asked me what my favorite perfume to wear is, what kind of perfumes I like, and I don't really have a favorite perfume because I have rosacea and incredibly sensitive skin. I can't wear perfume on my body. I can spray it on my clothes and let it dry on my clothes, and then I can put my clothes on, and that works fine. But because of that, I really don't wear perfume very often. But when I do wear perfume, I don't like anything too sweet or sugary in scent. I don't like anything that smells like food, really, because I don't know, I just don't want to smell like a cupcake. So my favorite perfumes are something that's more spicy. I really am drawn to a spicy masculine scent. And I know that might sound weird because I'm such a girly girl, but I'm drawn to that strong masculine scent. And I think a lot of it is because I love contrast. My eye is really drawn to contrast. And that's why much of my house is decorated in navy and white, because it's high contrast. And I just really enjoy that. And I think I enjoy it in all of my senses, including my sense of smell. And so I'm drawn to more masculine, spicy type scents. So now I'm going to answer what I think is the very most interesting question that was asked of me. It was only asked by one person. It was asked by Sahar. Now Sahar is part of the same yoga community that I'm in. I've not gotten the chance to meet her in person, but I do follow her channel. I'll link it in the description below if y'all want to go check out Sahar's channel because I think she's awesome. Sahar asked if I have always been this confident. And that one surprised me a little bit because I've never thought of myself as a confident person per se, but I think the answer to that is probably yes. I think I was just born somebody that had a sense of self, if that's even the right way to describe it. Or maybe just that really solid intrinsic self-confidence. I was born with that. And let me tell you a story about that. When I was about 8 or 9 years old, I had a cousin that was, I don't know, 16, 17 years old. She was living with us. She was staying with us. And she shaved her legs because she was a 16, 17-year-old girl. And I thought, I don't want hair on my legs, so I'm going to shave my legs too, right? And I did it. I didn't need anybody to teach me. It didn't seem that hard. I didn't see any challenges with shaving my own legs, so one day I did. And let me tell you, my mother was furious. My mom was furious with me, and I could not understand how she could be so furious. But she was furious that I had not talked to her about it and asked her permission before shaving my own legs. And even my very young 8 or 9-year-old self could not comprehend what the big deal was. They were my legs. I had them on my body. I had grown that hair on my leg all by myself, and I decided I wanted to remove it all by myself, and I did it all by myself. I could not comprehend why I would need somebody's permission to do something like that. She tells me what time to go to bed, but she didn't grow the hair on my legs. I did it myself. Why would I ask her if I wanted to remove it myself? Anyway, it was a huge issue in my house, and she was furious because apparently that's something that a daughter has to ask her mother's permission before she takes on that stage of her life on her own, the stage where she's going to be shaving her legs every day for the rest of her life. But that never occurred to me. And I think it's because I was born with that sense of self-confidence and agency. I was born with that sense of agency over my own self. And that's something that just comes intrinsically to me. And I will tell you, for many years after that incident, many more incidents were to follow in that same vein, because I've never been one to ask permission for what I can or can't do with myself, for myself. And my poor mom did the best she could, I'm sure, to survive it. But a very common phrase in my home growing up, when I did ask my mother permission for something, was, you know, to just do whatever the hell I wanted, because I was gonna do whatever the hell I wanted anyway. And you know, to be honest, she wasn't wrong. I really was gonna do what I wanted. If I could provide it for myself or do it for myself, even at a very young age, I was going to. So if that's what we might call confidence, because confidence can be defined so many different ways, I think yes, I was always this confident. I was born just a confident person. I've just never been one to seek out somebody else's approval. Now, this does not always apply to my marriage, to my relationship with my husband, because we make life decisions together, and so much of what I want to decide for myself really depends on what we want to do together. And so we can sit down and have a conversation about anything and figure it out and move forward. I think I have always been this confident. And I just want to let all you mamas out there that are dealing with those strong-willed daughters that don't think they need to ask permission for anything that is well within their own ability to provide for themselves and do for themselves, just know it's going to be okay. She's going to turn out all right. You're going to make it. It's all going to be okay. You got some tough years ahead of you, but we're not raising weak women in this world, right? It's gonna be okay, mama. Now, something I am about all day, every day, even on my low-key makeup looks, is mascara, because I am all about lashes. I use a lash serum every night. If I have gone to bed and I remember that I've forgotten to put my lash serum on, I will absolutely get back up and go put on some lash serum, because I'm all about these lashes. I also am all about mascara because it goes on lashes. And I like to try all the different ones as they come out, and I feel like I fall in love with 5 or 6 every single year. This one I'm loving right now. It's the Tower 28 mascara, and if you follow the beauty community at all, you know I'm late to the party on this Tower 28 mascara, because everybody else was into it a long time ago, and I'm just trying it for the first time about a month ago. But I do love it. Highly recommend. I try to keep my eye makeup, my eyeshadow, on the lighter, more neutral side, because I said earlier, I'm incredibly drawn to that contrast. And I like that look of contrast of the lashes against the lid. So my sparkly eyelid is simply a backdrop for my eyelashes, because I'm a girly girl and I like me some sparkles. So I'm gonna comb this out, let this mascara dry down a little bit, and now I'm going in with a second layer. One more layer of powder before I start filming. Some lips on. Now I'm gonna go get dressed. Thanks so much for hanging out to this point in the video. If you're interested in hanging out with me from time to time, you're not likely to see me doing makeup again. But if you are interested in travel content or wardrobe content or planning travel wardrobe content, then this is the place to be. So I do hope you will consider subscribing if you want to. If you're not ready to subscribe, or if you're just one of those people that never wants to subscribe to a channel, then don't. No worries. No harm, no foul, because I will be here. Not right here in my bathroom, but I will be out in the world somewhere making content, and I can't wait to see you in this video over here. So until I see you there, bye y'all.